It's that time. The Bright Side Chronicles is about to go down with Kerri and Nana. You ready for the show to begin?
Hey, let's go. Let's get it. It's almost showtime. Let's go. Let's get it. It's almost go time. Let's freaking go.
We gonna go. We gonna get it. Welcome.
What's going on? What's going on?
It's episode, I figured it out, babe. 31.
31.
Oh,
Good job.
I know. Of
Hey,
the Bright
yo.
Side Chronicles with your amazing host, Kerri Lewis, alongside of Nana Agyemang, also known as #AskForNana.
That's phenomenal.
And we have a reoccurring guest, AM
Shout out,
Arcos,
shout out.
also
Greetings,
known as
everybody.
Alexander.
What up?
And today, I have the distinct privilege and pleasure of having a dear friend of mine, David Brooks, on, who you and I have known each other for, I want to say a couple years now, if like at least a year and a half.
Yeah.
And every time we talk, I'm just like, oh, say less. And then I tell Nana about all the happy things that we talked
That is
about. So
absolutely
like,
true.
I got to bring on David Brooks, who also, for the listening audience, is known as the gratitude guy. So thanks, guys, for being here.
Thanks for
Of
having me.
course.
And I have to comment on the high production value of that open. Oh my God. With yellow and bright colors and countdown.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. I was like,
yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Gosh.
No one makes you want to dance.
That's totally Nana. Well, real quick before we dive in, Aji,
Yes.
why did we start the Bright Side Chronicles?
I mean, the Bright Side Chronicles is really our to encompass people's like joy, happiness, what brings you that sense of joy, whether it's your occupation, whether it's your lifestyle, or anything that brings you a sense of joy. That's what this hour is for. And it's an interactive space for anybody that also wants to comment or anything like that. You're more than welcome to reach out to us, and then we can respond to anything that's going on and just keep that dialogue going. That's all it's for.
And I'm going to jump in because Kerri always got something to say. It's also because here's the thing, guys, especially in the work that I do, there's so much narrative around division, and there's a lot of narrative that incites fear. And Nana and I don't experience life like that. And so we thought to ourselves, if we bring people on a show who share experiences about joy and chasing after their passion, hopefully we impress upon one person the importance of finding your joy, finding your freak, finding what makes you happy and chasing it. Because when you do that, fear ceases to exist, and you do create a life that you will look back on and be really happy to have lived. So with that, I did allude. So David, you are the gratitude guy. Do you want to share with the listening audience what the gratitude guy is?
Gratitude guy.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you, the gratitude guy came along a little bit later in the career path here, but it did start back in when I was a freshman in high school, or college rather. And a teacher asked me to come and speak to his class about what it was going to take to be successful. So I'd already moved on to the University of Washington. So I drove to this high school and talked to the class for like a half hour. And I went to my car, and this was like 1969. So 50 years plus.
Yeah.
And
You're not dating yourself at all.
Yeah. That's okay. I've managed to have some level of clean living, so I think I'm okay. But it's like as Alexander was saying too, when you realize this is gone, it's just time to move on. You enjoyed the hair while I had it.
Hey, listen, at least you moved on. The guys who were holding on to the sides, guys, just let it go.
They're just grateful for their hair. That's what we don't look at it as.
That's right.
Yeah, but I like shaving hair. You know, to me, the style works better than having hair.
As it should.
Yeah, but then, no joke, that I just want to go, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Oh my gosh, nice. Cosplay opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. You get.
Anyway, after that talk, I got in my car and I thought, that's what I want to be someday, as a motivational speaker. And that was 45 years ago, more than that. where I'd been working and went through the rest of my life. I'd always thought in the back of my mind, I want to be this more. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. Gratitude didn't come up until later, but about 45 some odd years later, I was managing a Lowe's home improvement store, and I decided to quit and start becoming a speaker. And then the topic I picked was gratitude, because it had really helped me. And in particular, I brought this up earlier. This is my daily gratitude journal, that gratitude guy's daily gratitude journal. When I started writing, and not this one, I didn't do this till later, but when I started writing it every day, I just realized what an impact it had on my life, because you're focusing on all your blessings and abundance and all the good things that you have. And there's something really special too about writing, because I always take this little instrument, the pen, that doesn't seem to be around as much as it used to. And there's a little saying in the front of the gratitude journal that says, if you think about it, it's like a dream. If you talk about it, it inspires you. But if you write about it, it empowers you. And something about, I am grateful to Kerri and Nana for inviting me to the pod, that plants it on the paper in your, and it stays better. It's just, and it's more implanted, and something again about that, the pen and the paper. So that's, and then along the way, I remember going to doing a lot of, I did 700 talks over 10 years. Jeez. And I was just in tons of rotaries and chambers and Kiwanis and Lions and schools, prisons, hospitals, all sorts of places. So I'm getting to the answer of your question, Kerri. So one day I'm in Starbucks, and the guy comes walking up to me, and he points his finger at me. He goes, "You're that gratitude guy. I saw you speak at so-and-so." So
what?
I went, "Oh, I like that name, that gratitude guy."
Gratitude guy.
Yeah, so that's how it happened.
Nice.
And then I even trademarked it, so that, because I didn't know how it would turn out, because a lot of people don't necessarily know my name, but they know I'm that gratitude guy. And that's kind of where it went. And then it was just a matter of continuing to build more and more speaking engagements. I also do coaching. I have a big YouTube channel, 2,700 videos and 20,000 subscribers. And, so it's something I enjoy. I do a video with.
Clearly in your life, you've been quite the slacker. You need to start making it up. Okay?
Hey, shots fired.
Well, also when we go back and compare notes back to the days at Nordstrom, where Kerri and I share, you either got the job done or you didn't have a job. So, I mean, it was, you kind of fell into the thing of understanding hard work was the key thing. But no, Nordstrom taught me a lot, and about customer service and treating people right, and the return policy, all that kind of thing. But yeah, I've learned a long time ago that hard work does seem to pay off. And I think, especially at my age, you start thinking about your legacy. What are they going to say about David Brooke? Because I'm the oldest in the group here by far. And what are they going to say about me when I leave? And that's a powerful incentivizer.
What do you want them to say about you when you leave?
I want to have them say he made a difference in my life. And the vehicle was gratitude. Yeah, exactly. And so, it's interesting too about the making a difference, because I keep referencing this talk in Tampa Bay, but I'm adding new exercises. So I'm one of these people on the talk. This will be a 1-hour keynote, but I don't use PowerPoint. And it's just something more interactive.
Never tried it.
Yeah, I want to get that interactive aspect of it. So there's exercises and stand up and high five and give me thumbs up and all those kinds of things. And the whole key is retention. And does the person remember what I said the next day, or do they forget? I've seen some tremendous speakers that I was taking notes and everything was great, but then a couple of days later, if I lost my notes, I can't remember what they said.
You remember what they
said. So, you know what? I do want to. The reason Nana and I do this show is to hopefully give people permission to give themselves an experience.
Correct.
And that's exactly what you're saying you do in your speaking engagements. I do too, because people are not going to remember what you say. People are not going to remember what you do. They are going to remember how you make them feel. So if when I'm working with somebody, if I bring them into an experience that makes them aware of their body when they speak negatively to themselves, and then I bring them into an experience into their body, they speak positive, they're going to remember it because it was felt, it was physical, it was imprinted. And so I love that so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I just also like the idea that the whole leave an impression on people, because I do that on a daily basis, whether it's work wise or whether I'm at convention for Comic-Con, right? Like perfect
Oh,
example. I literally was at New York and I've wanted to do like a Where's Waldo character. How much more cooler would it be to find a character that's dressed up as Where's Waldo in a place full of so many people, which is like the Where's Waldo game. So I made it more of
Exactly.
a game. You know what I mean? Like I had stickers. If you found me, you took a picture and you got a sticker.
Nice.
Those stickers were gone within like 2 hours. It was like 107 stickers. Yeah, like literally, but like people were excited about it. They're like, oh, sure, I gotta find you. And like it made it more interactive. So like now when they go back next year, that's gonna be a memory that they've had or
Excellent.
it's stuck with them forever. And for me, I think it's just cool because it was just a random on the whim idea. And shout out to Kerri and my friend Becky, who also came up with the idea like you should give out stickers or something like that. Because I didn't think about that. I was like, I just want them to just find Waldo. And it became like bigger than what it is. And now people are like, oh man, I want to play that. You know what I mean? And so who's to say maybe later on the line I might do that again for another convention or whatever it is, you know?
No, what was on the sticker?
It was just literally a picture of me just excited and it says Swaldo.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's good branding.
Oh,
I don't have a sticker for myself, which is the funny part. I gave one to Kerri.
The sticker on my
You have it on your laptop, right?
Yes, I sure do. But
Yeah,
I may be able to pull it up because Becky sent it to me.
Nice.
Yeah, it's somewhere in my phone somewhere here, but I will definitely see if I can find it and I can at least show you. But
That's
it was cool.
Cool idea.
It was like a little gift for somebody that found me, you know?
That was so nice. Speaking of what brings me joy, guys, unexpected hugs and kisses from my 17-year-old, our 17-year-old.
What up?
Because she's going to be going off to college soon. And so,
very cool.
Wow.
Babe, I found it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Babe, I found it. It's right here.
I know.
That's very cool.
But it was just like a moment to be had, you know what I mean?
But to your point, David, you know, and Alexander, feel free to jump in with any thoughts because I know that you have insight too. Absolutely. But Nana has all these people who always extend themselves to him, myself included. I have people, Bonnie, who just reached out, shared with me that she is doing something I have not shared with Nana yet, that out of kindness. And I think it's because we're kind, right? And so I get excited to bring on people like David on our show because he's so kind to me and he always sparks my intrigue and we have deep, meaningful conversations. So I want to be helpful. So the question I have for you, David, is, you know, you said you were a teenager and you had this vision of being a motivational speaker, but lifing, right? And you became a manager for Nordstrom and then Lowe's and all of this. Where do you think you got that ability to chase a dream at an age where some people are like, oh, you should plan on retiring, you should go put up the work and then do golf clubs and stay in joy learning to do something new, because at the end of the day you're still learning your craft, correct?
Right. Well, and that is such a good question because I'm not sure I know the complete genesis of how it worked, because I just remember the actual day was December 26, 2013. So about 11, 12 years ago. And I was managing a Lowe's and it just, something hit me. And I says, I can't keep talking about this dream. I think I was 63 at the time, 64. And I go, I can't keep talking about this dream. You have to do this. Oh, there's Dave Brook. He said he was going to be a speaker and never did it. I mean, we can be so critical to ourselves, if you will. So I decided, so I quit. And so I drive home. My 17-year-old son, Connor, who survived a lot. He was 4 when my wife died, his mother, and then my older son was 14. And so he was 17 at the time this happened. So he's sitting on the couch and it's 2 PM. And he goes, what are you doing home? And I said, well, I quit. And he goes, you quit working at Lowe's? And I said, yeah, typical 17-year-old. And he said, you quit being the store manager? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, I have a question for you. What are we going to do for food?
Listen,
that's my type of person.
He's like, that's a real question right there.
That's my type of person right there.
And I said, well, I'm going to be a speaker. And he says, I repeat, what are we going to do for food? And so I went, don't worry, It'll work out.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the great thing about it, we talk about this level of self-esteem we have. Too much, cocky, arrogant, too little, no confidence, lack of self-esteem. And I guess the answer is to maybe live somewhere in between. But we can be so hard on ourselves. And looking back, they always say, of course, hindsight's 20/20. And I look back and I think the older Dave now would look back to the 65-year-old David and say, okay, let me explain something to you. This speaker thing is great. It's not a full-time job. It's not something you're doing Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Yeah.
It wasn't until later that I figured out I had to do coaching. I mentioned having a large YouTube channel, my YouTube videos, groups that I manage and put together, and books and journals that I sell. But and I'm glad I did it, though, because I'm aware of this. And so many of my friends at this age have passed away, and my parents are long gone. I just recently lost 2 brothers. I mean, it's what happens in life. And I think one of the things after you get over the shock of somebody leaving, you kind of subconsciously or consciously think to yourself, well, what kind of stamp did they leave on the planet? You know? And so for me, I've told Connor and Kyle, my 2 sons, I said, when I'm long gone, I said, you know what's going to make my day? And they go, what's that? You're in Starbucks and somebody comes up to you and said, aren't you David Brooks' son? I think I saw him speak one day. And he talked about gratitude. And I said, just knowing that could happen makes my day, you know, and it's because it's impacting people, and just like what you guys do. I mean, it's like when you break it down, you're impacting lives. And I just don't know if there's any higher calling that you can do when people see, because we all have skill sets. Some people don't have the skill sets that we have. And so they rely on us to give them inspiration and motivation what they do, and they show their appreciation. Oh, it's the best feeling you can get.
It's beautiful.
Well, there's 2 things that come to mind for me. One, I absolutely love the fact that you walked in at 2 o'clock and said that to your son, because talk is cheap, but to actually role model, hey, I have a dream. I just walked away from something, seemingly the illusion of security, having this full-time job, to chase something that's important to me. That is the greatest gift you can ever give your child. And I know that Nana and I give our children that gift all the time. And as a result, we have both bore witness to both of our daughters trying things they may not have otherwise tried, because they know that Nana and I put ourselves out there. And there's not this fear of failure. It's the fear of not chasing after what could bring me joy. And I love that so much, you know. And then secondly, I stand by this. No act of love is ever wasted. So for you, your what brings you joy is being of service, teaching people the importance of gratitude, and how, you know, incorporating gratitude in their daily rhythms can change the trajectory of their day, their week, their month, their year, and their life. And in that, you know, that is an act of love, which does, to your point, impact lives. It impacts lives, because even if you never know from the individual who you helped, right? It's an energy that imprints on the collective consciousness of humanity, which we know from quantum physics and science combats the energy of fear. So, I mean, that's probably why I love you, David.
Well, I think one thing when you think about people, do as you do, not as you say. And I think I've said before, kind of a bold statement about there's a common denominator between raising children and managing employees. And I added them up once on Nordstrom and Lowe's, and I maybe managed 10,000 people. It was a pretty big number. So I felt like I knew a little bit about managing people. But the number one skill for managing people and the number one skill for raising children is you have to set a good example. And you see it all the time. You know, I better not see you doing this, but they're puffing away or whatever. And then they wonder why their child doesn't appreciate them or respect them or whatever. So it's so important to set that example. And then that ultimately rolls into, I guess, the legacy and all those things later on. But there's just something about this, as I've gotten older too, this relationship with yourself, as you build it and get stronger, you know yourself better. You're not relying on outside validation. It's all about looking in the mirror and knowing that. I mean, I always know, I wonder if I should say this because it almost feels embarrassing to me, but every time I get a new keynote talk for a lot of people, I'll walk over to the mirror or walk over to the bathroom. And as I'm passing the mirror, I go, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
You will not.
Yes.
And even when sometimes I get lots of rejection letters, we've already got too many people and all. So you get all of that. But then when it all comes together, like this Tampa thing just came together. And so it's just, boy, if you can just keep fine tuning that and reinforcing that, it just gets better and better over time.
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
Nana, go ahead. So Nana is a good example. I mean, I about not giving up. So he was just at New York Comic Con, but
Oh, right.
No.
ahead,
We'll let Alex go because I think Alex was gonna say. Go ahead.
Oh,
Alex.
yeah.
I'm not even sure what I was gonna say. But
It's all good. Because I thought you had something to say, so I was like, I'll wait till after.
maybe
And I'll tell mine.
I'm not sure. No, you go ahead because I actually didn't have anything to say just yet.
My fault.
Yeah.
So basically, New York Comic Con is one of the biggest conventions around the area in the Northeast. And the past, 2 years of last year I went was my first year, and I applied for a content creator badge, didn't get it. Reapplied again this year, didn't get it again. But I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and just make an impact because I thought about it. I can go in there with a mindset of like, oh man, like these people don't want me. I can be petty and stuff like that. But I was like, no, I'm gonna go have a great time. Like, and I know that I make an impact because I have friends that I just made through cons all year, and I've met so many backgrounds. And I think it's gonna get to the point that they're gonna realize that they probably need me at one of these cons because of the energy that I get to exude. And I might not have the biggest following ever, but like I feel like making the impact goes a long way in my thought process versus you can bring in 1,000 people or whatever it is, sell tickets. But I think sooner or later it's gonna get to the point that they're gonna realize that like I just show up. Like one of the perfect examples was like I told Kerri this, there was a mother and son. The mother's probably in her later years in life going through dementia. I'm wearing a Winnie the Pooh dress on a Sunday, which is even more funnier because I'm a bodybuilder in a Winnie the Pooh outfit. So it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But the son comes up to me and he's like, hey, my mom loved Winnie the Pooh. She grew up with it and she's battling dementia. So she, it's getting to that point where her memory's starting to fade a bit more. But she recognized the outfit and the color. So he's like, can I take a picture with you? And I'm like, yeah, of course you can. Like, that's cool stuff. That's a memory to be had. So I took a picture with the mom and she just like gave me like the warmest hug. And I was just like, dude, this is what it's about. This is what cons should be about. And I wish more people could see that. And I get to exude that in her. So that memory, it made her remember what Winnie the Pooh or who Winnie the Pooh was, even though she's going through that. So it was really like a heartwarming story, but you don't, get to see that.
But you know what? I want to interject a little bit because what people don't realize is the Davids, the AM Arctoses, the Kerris, the Nanas of the world, right? We get rejected from the thing that maybe we think we want, but when we don't close ourselves off and give up, we get opportunities we wouldn't otherwise have. So Nana, right after being told he couldn't be a content creator for New York Comic Con, somebody reached out to him and said, hey, will you be a content creator for New Jersey's
Cut out
Nice.
New Jersey. Rhode Island.
David, like you could easily be like, oh, I keep getting these rejection letters, whatever. This isn't going to work out. Or you stay positive and then you have this huge opportunity in Tampa where you get to speak in front of a large audience on the very thing that means the most to you and that will impress upon your legacy. So it really is ultimately, guys, is finding the gratitude in the journey rather than judging the outcome of this specific experience. I really, truly believe that. But David, you did bring up something very unique because I know this answer for myself because I've thought about it a lot, but I'm curious what Alexander and Nana have to say. Do you guys have any idea of the legacy you want to leave?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
To a point, I do. I mean, I'm going to say probably maybe much like you, David, I've always had my ambitions and dreams. I always wanted to be a professional author and have, sci-fi and fantasy novels out there. But that wants to incorporate my my spiritual side too, and my desire to, spread wisdom and help awaken people to their, inner awesome divine nature and all that. And
Yes.
so, yes, like my goal is to have a brand and a presence that influences society and humanity in a positive, powerful, let's awaken to our higher selves kind of way.
Ooh.
And yeah, I know that as a writer, especially, there's plenty of rejections and rejection letters you can get from various publishers and agents and stuff like that. And I know it can be painful and ego crushing to continue on, but if you really have that dream, you got to go with it. And I was going to say that, Nana, you inspired me recently. It was like a month or two ago. I went to, Chicago Fan Expo, big comic convention. I did the cosplaying. I went as Saitama from One Punch Man.
Let's go!
I had the whole costume, and I was getting tons and tons of people coming up to me, wanting photos with me, commenting on stuff, and even
Listen, I'm
blew
gonna
up on
take it a
TikTok.
whole different level because that's just carrying who I am. That Saitama outfit be showing you guys his package.
Yeah, it
I'm
does.
just saying, it's
My girlfriend said
inviting
it too.
some friendly, unfiltered comments from the peanut gallery. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But anyway, Nana, what about you? Legacy, do you know?
I mean, legacy wise, really, my thing is it's just positivity. Like if I walk into the room, I hope like people can feel the energy of like joy. Like I'm here to like make a presence, and like that's something that I've always, whether it's my job, which I absolutely love, on the days that I'm like locked in and I'm like ready to go, or whether it's at the gym and I'm shooting the stuff with somebody that like is asking me for gym advice because they see that I work out, or if it's at a con and I'm seeing like friends that I've met. Like I walk into the room and I get excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like I don't know. You can see the smile on my face when I walk into the room, and people know it because they're like, oh, that's the person. Like that's the guy that like he just brings that vibe of like just it's making everybody feel inclusive without leaving people left out and looking be like, oh dang, I can't even talk to this person. You know what I mean? Like I don't ever think I'm too big of a person to be like, oh, I'm the coolest thing to walk into the room. I just look at it as like I'm just like everybody else. I'm just trying to just do the best I can to just create a inclusive environment when it comes down to it. So like I think positivity, joy, and happiness would probably be the legacy that I want to leave behind.
Well, I will tell you, mine's kind of similar but different. I've thought about this a lot, and it alludes to what I was talking to David about: embodying love and authenticity, and that's being unfiltered. In the words of Frank Sinatra, I did it my way. And I really can honestly say at the end of my life, I want people to say she embodied love, but she was unfiltered, meaning I can have a conversation about joy, spirituality, your meat showing in a cosplay costume, wear skulls, all in one conversation.
Nice.
And that is my truth. And I think that really is where there's a disconnect right now. Is we're so concerned about impressing another individual that we filter ourselves. And when we filter ourselves, we limit ourselves. And for anybody who knows me, I am super connected with creation. And if we were created by creation and co-create with creation, and there's 8 billion creations in human form, and that's not including plant and animal species, I have to believe I'm meant to be uniquely me and not conform to the society. So that is my legacy, to have lived fully expressed as my weird self, and in doing so empowered others to do the same. So
absolutely.
I love that. But I love that question because of you, David. So going back to being fully expressed, you and I have talked offline several times. In your lifetime, you've flown planes. You've done a lot of things. So you have, throughout your careers as even a leader in corporate America, now in motivational speaking, you've chased joy in all of the areas of your life. So how, where did you get that sense of giving yourself permission to know joy? Because I think nowadays I look at people and even to give themselves permission to laugh or sing or blow bubbles can feel really, really hard and disconnected from who they are.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to me that where does the joy come from? Another question that reminds me of that a lot is where does the motivation come from? And
Mm.
sometimes I ask people, and I've told people, and maybe in the last 10 years, I've just become a lot more comfortable with one of the answers being, I don't know. And I
Yeah.
just no, you have to tell me. There's got to be no. Let's drill down. Let's get
Yeah.
And so much of human behavior, like non. I have to ask you on the Comic-Con, the
Yeah.
content creator. So what? And then I'll come back to my thing too. But I wanted to ask you, as you were talking about this, what kept you going back the second or third year to keep applying, even though you were getting rejected or not accepted or whatever? What was kind of in your mind that kept you going back?
I think because I have a spirit of like I'm too stubborn to quit on anything that I feel like I can make an impact on it, right? So like I think just learning from like people like Tom Brady's of the world who were doubted and they became great at what they were, or the Michael Jordans of the world. That's been like, or the Kobe Bryants. Those are my idols. So they've definitely been like an impact of like, you just can't give in and be like, oh dang, like, well, that sucks. It's like, okay, cool. Then I just gotta be more motivated to be pushing myself to get
That's
to that
good.
level of like at that point of like they can't ignore me anymore. And if it takes 3 years, 4 years, whatever, I'm still gonna be there either way. So more
I
the
think
barrier, right?
I just think that's incredibly well
Yeah.
said, because to me, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And there's something
Absolutely.
about, you cannot appreciate up until you've seen down. And with all these things we're talking about with any of the four of us or anybody else, is rejection letters and people saying, don't return your phone call, don't get back to your emails, all these things.
Yep.
And the example that, it's a very sad example, but the example I always use is what happens if it's too easy for any of us. It's like these child stars. It was too much too soon. By 30, they're either dead or living
out.
on a homeless shelter or on drugs somewhere, because they had the world came to them at 12 years old or 10 or 14. They weren't ready for it. And so there's
Great
something
point.
about just when you have the really bad stuff. I had a day last week where there was this talk, and then I took my computer in, it was bugging me. And it was like, the guy says it's something in warranty. It's an Apple MacBook Air, a MacBook Pro. And long story short, he says, well, I can give you a new 15-inch for $300. And I went, are you kidding me? And taking this old one, even though it was 5 years old, because it was a warranty. And it was that and the talk. And I talked to both my sons, and I thought, this is just like a red letter day. This is like the best day ever. All these good things happening. But I appreciate it because I had a POS day about a week ago.
Yep.
Everything south. And so that's what I just, and the one that I've always liked too, I just think of all the stories I've heard over the years is, I love this one about, they said it takes the average salesperson, it takes them 4 visits to make a sale, but the average salesman gets discouraged at 2 visits.
Oh, nah.
So they never make the sale. And, rejection is just part of it, but that's why I always like to know what it is. And I understand that the one about where the motivation comes from. And Kerri, you mentioned this a little bit about I've done a lot of crazy things in my life. And I don't know where it comes from. Sometimes I think it's like people we all know, everybody on this call has got a great personality. I don't know if you can take a class called Personality 101 and get an A, and then all of a sudden you have a personality, and so there's just some things that are just God-given. And I do know one thing, there's something about when my head hits the pillow every single night for 75 years, it's like, did you accomplish a lot today before you go to bed? It's like worthy of this day.
Interesting.
Worthy of this day.
Lighten up a little bit, maybe just a little bit.
So it's so funny because I feel a little differently. We are inherently worthy. I mean, guys, I can't help how much just go on my little soapbox.
For sure.
Right, do your thing. You're good.
The very fact that my amazing egg made it to the sperm and was planted and makes me worthy. However, I do go to bed and I ask myself, did I show up in integrity? Did I take ownership of the mistakes that I made and learn from them rather than beat myself up? Did I show up and act in kindness towards others? Did I come from curiosity rather than judgment? And in that, I personally can rest my head and feel really confident about having navigated a day. And you know, to your point, David, and this is going to come full circle to all three of you, you know, Nana knows I lost one of my cousins this week very unexpectedly and in a circumstance that is one for the ages. I'll tell you that. And it is my gratitude practice. It's my ability to shift perspective. It's my ability to lean into people that I know can nurture and support me when I'm not having the best day to nurture and support myself. That has helped me shift through this unexpected experience like that. And it's because of gratitude. And more than that, it's because I tap into joy. It's because I get to look forward to the Bright Side Chronicles on Thursday at 7 with amazing people. It's because I know that my boyfriend might show up on a date with us dressed as some random character. I have no idea. And I'm going out with a whole new person tonight. Like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's actually hilarious.
But it's true. I mean, literally, the first time that Nana ever cosplayed for me, he showed up on a date dressed as Dora the Explorer, and I'm like, "Oh, we doing this with the wig and everything? Oh, okay."
Groovy.
I was like, "So I'm dating many characters, not just Nana." No, but seriously, again, this is why I am passionate about the Bright Side Chronicles and bringing on people such as yourself, David, and you, Alexander, who give yourself permission to experience joy every day. Like to be able to say, lighten up. Like, why are we taking this so seriously? And the fact that you said, right, 75 years, like that is a long time to experience life, and you still wake up every day and choose joy. Whereas I imagine you've been able to bear witness to many people who choose to focus on what's not working out for them, and seeing the difference in your life's experiences, and hopefully giving you more information to have more joy in your life, one would think.
Yep. And I think also we've heard this mother old wives' tale, their thing about the glass half full, whatever you want to call it. But I've never really come up with a better one to kind of describe the difference between two people. You're a glass half full, I'm a glass half empty, or whatever. My father was a very glass half empty guy, and he later took his own life. And I've met a lot of people that just, I would say to my dad, "Good morning." And you go, "What's good about it?" And I thought, wow, how do you have that kind of attitude? And so where does that come from? Yeah. And that's why I just don't know if I know, because there's something about, for me, it was just along the way, I thought I need to leave an imprint on this earth while I'm here. But I think also there's people that I've come to understand, like we've got a big baseball game in Seattle, and Mariners are in the divisional thing against the
Mariners.
Toronto against the Blue Jays. Against the Blue Jays, and so everybody, and so there's some people, their whole world is just baseball, and that's fine. That's fine. It doesn't. Who am I to tell anybody else how to do their life? I just know, for me, as being the glass half full, I just want to know that people know I was here. Because this life. Yeah. And Kerri, you talk about the word joy, to me totally epitomizes you. It's like there's Kerri, a picture in the word joy, and there's a picture of Kerri Lewis in the dictionary under joy.
Probably do a little thing like this with a little skull in the background.
Yeah, baby. Look, I got my
nice.
hat with it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. But it's just how and why we're all, and that's why that I've asked many people many times that what motivates you, and sometimes they have an answer and sometimes they don't. I'm not sure where it comes from me, because I can't really give it to my father. My mother was a big influence on me, but she was also manic depressive and would threaten suicide and had different issues and so forth. So I just think sometimes it's like, I call it the birth lottery. I think sometimes, like Kerri, you said the sperm and the egg come together, and then there was Kerri Lewis. And sometimes I think it's just that random. Because there's something interesting. I don't know. I just have seen people that it defies logic. It's either really negative or really positive from where they came from. And I don't talk about, in my early talks, I would talk about my wife's death and my dad's suicide, my mom's death, and different things that happened. All these tragedy things happened to me. And I stopped talking about it because I thought to myself, everybody has tough stuff. Yeah. What I'm here to tell you is how you bounce back from your tough stuff. And I don't want to hear the different story, because the only thing that would change between different people with negative experiences is the story they tell. And so to me, I want to tell a story of how I was resilient, like Tom Brady, you mentioned, and bounce back. And that's what's really important. And that's what people can take away.
And I wanted to ask you, I've been thinking about this, like, since you're that gratitude guy, and sometimes maybe the people who need your help the most are people who just don't feel that gratitude. And you often hear from, like, you know, spiritual people and motivational speakers, yeah, you got to feel that gratitude and, you know, to manifest, to live a better life. But, you know, sometimes people get stuck in that pit and, like, they don't feel it. So do you suggest they start faking it, or is there some way to help them find that gratitude?
That's a good question, Alexander, because I think that one of the things I'll have people challenge me, you know, my best friend just died. What do I have to be grateful for? And they're kind of in my face a little bit, like, well, let's just see how this proves out. And I've said, you know, all of life is shades of gray. It's not black or white. It's just all these shades of gray.
Ups and downs.
So exactly. And if something happens to you, you make the best of it as best you can. And as I've said, and if you can use a gratitude journal or focus on things or think about what you were grateful for yesterday, or all these different aspects and exercises. And I said, if that works, great. But you know what? Sometimes there's going to be some days in your life, your only goal is to get to tomorrow. And it'll generally be better tomorrow. And if it isn't, then it's the same goal. Just get to the next day. And at some point, the day will get incrementally better. But nobody said life was fair or easy. It's not. I mean, it's this roller coaster ride of emotions from up, down, and everywhere in between. And how you manage that roller coaster ride, I think, determines a lot of your level of happiness. And my favorite word from Kerri, joy.
Well, and I love that you bring that up, because I always use the analogy of like you know, when you're at a hospital and there's like an EKG machine and it's like up, down. That's a person being stable, right? If it's a flat line, you're literally dead.
Yeah,
right?
that's
that's my analogy on, like, life is going to be the ups and downs. If you're at a standstill and you're just going flat, you're literally just getting by and you're not really living life. So I always use that analogy, and I love the resiliency part, because, like, you know, I could have been like, oh man, like, this is a not so exciting situation of me not getting whatever the badge is or whatever it is, and just be like, oh, I'm not going to go because of that. There's no bone in my body that would have told me I'm not going to go because of that. Because then at that point, I'm defeating myself and giving into the notion of, like, dang, like, okay, like, I shouldn't be there because I didn't get that. I was like, nope, I'm going to go there and I'm going to make more of an impact with friends and people that I get to meet, and create that mentality of, like, I can do this. I know that. And it's so funny because I see a lot of my friends that are really good content creators and stuff. I feel like I'm on par with them. And this is not even like, it's never been about a cocky thing. It's just, they put up great content and I follow and I research their stuff. And I'm like, I want to be like that. And I ask them, I pick their brain. That's the thing, is like, if I need some kind of help, I'm like, how did you do this? I'm going to ask. It's the same thing which what Kerri says is like, if there's something I don't know, I'm going to reach out to people and figure out, how did you get to this? And most of my friends aren't gatekeepers. They're like, oh, like, this is what I did to kind of figure it out. And I'm like, well, how can I be of service in your end to kind of, like, you know, just put in my input on certain things. So, like, that's the thing, is like the resiliency. And I love that word resilience, because it's the same thing with sales. When I go through a slump, I'm like, well, how cool would it be if I can just shift this mentality of, like, coming back? And then it relates back to, like, even like the New England game of, like, 28-3. I keep that literally on my desk, because when the Patriots came back against the Atlanta Falcons in the third quarter, 28-3 is ridiculous. Like, it's a bizarre way of, how do you, like, battle that? But it's an uphill battle, and it's a challenge with everything in life. It's always going to be, like, you know, it's not always sunshine and rainbows like you just mentioned, but, like, the days that you have those
lollipops.
this one over here, the days that you have those rainy days are the days that you have, like, a means to be like, okay, well, how do I get an umbrella to cover this? And how do I just get past this and keep moving forward through it? You know what I mean?
And Nana, to your point, using that example, 28-3, I think it was in the third quarter.
Yep.
It would be fun to be a bug on the wall to know what the mindset was of the Patriots.
Oh my gosh.
Because you're done. There's nobody comes back from that.
Yep.
I mean, are you kidding me? And so I wonder what they were thinking, and did they believe it? And we're going to win this thing anyway. And they in fact did.
Well, I think I want to jump in two things. One, they had to believe it because so here's the thing. I have studied neuroscience, the biology of the brain, guys. This is the thing. Your external circumstances are cultivated from your internal belief system. So if they didn't believe it, they would never have won.
Correct.
I have so many people out like right now giving me, looking at all this external crisis and they're like, oh, we got to change this. I'm like, no, really what we need to do is focus on our internal narratives because this external collective stuff we're bearing witness to is just a culmination of the collective consciousness's internal narratives, which is steeped in fear, which thus has to be expressed as external circumstances.
Indeed.
So that's one thing. But going back to the question you asked, Alexander, because I use gratitude a lot with people who are apathetic, who are struggling addiction in that guilt shame cycle. First off, you have a choice. You don't have to be grateful about nothing. But if you choose to not be grateful, I'm not the person to work with because you basically decided that you want an experience of suffering. And guess what? The reality is, and I think you'll get this, Alexander, because you're spiritual, like deeply spiritual. Our job isn't, my job's not to change you if you want to suffer. My job is to embody joy and love and thus attract the people who are looking for a different experience.
Yeah.
And to your point, David, the reality is yes, it takes a micro thing. When I was steeped in addiction, drinking 2 bottles of wine a night, it was tough for me to find things to be grateful for, but there's always something, right? And the thing for me was a cup of hot black coffee. I love a good cup of coffee. I love it. The hotter, the better. I want to come out looking like a lobster, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm just saying, so it's about choice. And this is where I really want to impress upon people. Free will is the greatest gift the human has ever been given. I have the choice to sit in suffering this week. I could be miserable. I could be sorry for myself. I could look at my family and be like, life is so unfair. Or I could be like, wow, I was able to connect with relatives I haven't connected with for a long time. I was able to get Nana to cuddle me for 2 nights because I asked him to spend more time with me. I was able to gain all this from an experience because I chose to find the things to be grateful for, to be joy-filled about, instead of focusing on the thing that causes me suffering. And I'll leave it with this. Wisdom is avoiding all thoughts that weaken you. And if we know that negative thoughts create a negative vibration, a lower vibration, it weakens you energetically. We know positive thoughts create a more empowered vibration. You're physically stronger, right? Science proves it. Then why wouldn't I choose the positive, even in times when I'm going through something that some people feel is tragic?
Yeah. And I feel that sometimes once that negative thought surfaces, you can't just avoid it. It's there. It's a matter of just being detached from it and just observing it and not like owning it or letting it control you or create your identity.
Yeah, well, because it's all stories anyway. So if you observe it and honor it, you're already in the presence and you've immediately neutralized it. Because, for the listening audience, part of the reason Nan and I do this show is science has proven it. A positive energy and a negative energy can't exist in the same plane. They just can't. So the minute you're in a negative energy, oh, my life sucks. But you became aware of that thought. Oh, I just thought this thought that my life sucks. You've neutralized it from pure awareness of having that thought. And then if you say, I'm really proud of myself, like David said in the mirror, which is why I love that he affirms himself, because I caught myself having that thought. You've just created a positive energy, thus canceling out negative energy. And it is as simple as that, but it takes effort. It's like a marathon of awareness with your thinking until you train your brain to think like that regularly. And to David's point, going back to sales, people quit before they ever see the fruits of their labor because the effort they feel needs to produce an outcome that they desire instantaneously. And that's not reality.
And I think something I found out a long time ago, in maybe a lot of years on the planet, is you can't help everybody.
No.
And I think the term that I came up with is, I'll be your training wheels, but I'm not going to pedal your bike.
Ooh, what?
Yes,
That is good. I'm gonna have to like borrow that one. That's a great one.
I
I'll
know
be
that's a
happy
good
with my pedal
one.
bike. I gotta put that in my notes. Hold on, let me put that.
But I also think for those that have a faith, I say something similar about, I think the good Lord gives you the toolbox and the toolkit, but you got to build the house.
Yes.
You know,
That's
it's just,
real
there's
tough.
effort here, and then with that effort comes the appreciation, because like we said, when you appreciate up, the reason you did is because you felt down and you could see this distance between the two, and makes you appreciate it that much more. So, but I always wanted to change everybody. And then to your point, Kerri, I just learned only to, like you said, you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be grateful. I mean, that's says it right there.
And they're energy suckers. And how do you stay?
Yes.
So our daughter had a beautiful experience this past week. She's had this friend for 4 years now. And this friend she's an energy sucker. She's a beautiful person, but it's how she grew up. She's younger. And no matter what, she can't do it. It's like she's just so negative. And so I've worked with Nana's worked with her and said, hey, you get to protect your energy. You get to feel good around who you. Finally, one day this past week, she gets in the car and she's like, Mom, I get it. It was the longest 2 hours of my life because I was with this energy sucker. And that is the thing, is we get to give ourselves permission to be around the energy we want. And I said to Nana, do you know what one of the greatest gifts that I received this week from having gone through this experience with losing my cousin? The reminder that I get to choose my family, that I get soul family, and that blood family does not have to stick to me. I get to choose David to be in my life as a soul family member. Alexander, I get to choose Nana. And all these people are lifting me up, and they're not sucking me down. And so therein lies our power for joy too.
And just so you know, it's always fun to me, takeaways. I always like to ask people about, at the end, when I have a book table and I'm signing the books, and it's hard to talk to somebody when you're signing, be grateful every day, take care, Kerri Lewis, and things like this. So somebody said, you need to ask them a question. So the question I had for them as I'm signing, what's your name, Alexander? So then I write, what was your biggest takeaway? So now they're talking and you're writing. That you can do. So you can listen, right? Dear Alexander, be grateful every day. David George Brooke, the gratitude guy, and so forth. So, but speaking of takeaways, so another module I do is about listening. And I don't think we listen very well. Now, I'm very impressed with the 3 or 4 of us here today, just because how can you tell? Because the person can't ask a question unless they heard what you said.
Correct.
And the only way they can tell. So then you can say, well, tell me more about that. So in the essence of takeaways, thank you, Nana. The EKG machine, that's going in the talk. That's just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Life's up and down to the flat line. And then resilience, I talk about a lot. But another one, and I think, Kerri, you said this, but I wrote it down too. Free will is the greatest gift you will ever have been given. But I'm sorry, that just went right to the top. That's amazing. Because you think about all the people that don't have free will and so forth. So, and just a number of other takeaways here. So those are just gems. And it's funny. And speaking of listening, I always tell people, speaking of a gem, one of the ways that you can be a good listener, and then you can have more friends than you could ever possibly imagine you would have, is to use 2 3-word phrases. When you're talking to the person, the first 3-word phrase is tell me more. And then they just keep talking. And then somebody says, well, when do I talk? You don't say anything. You just keep saying, tell me more. They'll stop at some point. And I said, and the other one is, and then what? Because what happens, I'll guarantee all 3 of you will have this happen in the next day or so. You're walking out somewhere and somebody says, hey, Kerri, how's it going? And there's another person there, and it's going great. We just got back from Hawaii. 9 times out of 10, oh, that's interesting. We just got back from Hawaii. We were over there because we were going. And I've had to say to people, hold on a second. We weren't talking about you. We'll get to you in a second. But we were actually talking about so-and-so. So people want to inject themselves into the conversation. But if you keep saying, tell me more, there will become a time that you'll get the chance to say whatever you want to say. But it's funny, and this, I don't want to sound arrogant about this, but
No.
I just had a lot of people. I just so enjoy talking to you, and it's just really enjoyable. Yes, because I ask a lot of questions. I just interject everything, more questions, and I don't talk about myself. You know, and
Nice.
it's funny if you just ask people questions, and then maybe to go to a PhD level is then ask a question based on their answer. And then they'll tell you, they're really going like, well, tell me more about the Comic-Con thing.
Yeah.
Well, how could
Oh
I
my
ask
God.
that question if I wasn't listening to Nana? So it's really, it's just about getting that communication to a whole level, because I feel there's a collective lack of self-esteem that goes across everything. And Facebook and all those. I mean, Facebook should be renamed Look at Me, because that's what it really is. And
Look at Me is crazy.
Yeah. So, but to really ask the good questions and follow up and then really listen is just people, you can tell that people are really engaged in the conversation.
Well, before we go, because that's literally like with my job, right? So I help people buy
Yasmin
cars.
Lee, hello
yeah.
to you too, by the way. Shout out.
So I help people buy cars. So my biggest thing is, and I tell every salesperson that's like brand new, I'm like, listen to the customer. Ask them questions about themselves, because that's how you narrow down what they're looking for. It's not, hey, I have this for you. It's, hey, what are you using this for? How many people will be using like it's education. So I can sit down with someone, and within 5-10 minutes I kind of have an idea, because I'm listening, and I can create like a image of like, maybe this vehicle might make sense. Okay, well, you're trying to be at this monthly payment. How about we look at something that really fits within the budget, instead of looking at something that's like fancier and that's way out of the budget? Because ultimately 90% of my job is listening. The 10% is finding the car. So like that's what I realized. That's why I learned to get better at my craft, thus eliminating time, being more efficient, so that now we're not looking at 5 different cars when we can look at maybe 1 or 2 and then just narrow it down to like which one really fits within what they're looking for, and give people the options.
Speaking of narrowing down, we got 4 minutes. So but David and Alexander, please stay on after. So we can circle back. But narrowing down, I'm going to leave it with David and Alexander. Thank you for gracing us with your presence, because at the end of the day, your gift is just being here in this experience of time and space with Nana and I feel truly blessed and honored to know you both.
Thank you.
David, thank you for sharing your wisdom. For you three, please share with the listening audience any insights you would like to leave them with until next week.
Insights.
I mean, me personally, just live your best life. In all honesty, like I had a great time catching up with friends, people, and I had so many genuine moments at the con. Like one of them was a person that came up to me like, "Hey, I follow you on TikTok." I didn't even know the person from a hole in the wall, and I was like, "Holy crap!" And like, you motivated me to like get back into the gym, and I was like, "That's cool stuff." Like I'm just putting out stuff what I want to put out, and that's motivating people. Then so be it. You know, I mean, I've done my due diligence for society in that aspect of like, I hope somebody's life change a little bit more for the better. So keep living your best life, and people will see it, and they can see how authentic it is.
Gratitude turns what you have into enough, which is so beautiful. Mic drop from David Brooke. And I 100% concur, because I do. So
Gratitude turns what you have into enough. Wow.
What about any verbal words of wisdom there? Amazing, David.
I would say thank you. I tell people to give gratitude a try, and certainly a gratitude journal. But if they can't do that, it's 5 minutes, and I try to give people every example I can to get a practice going or get it on a daily basis. And I said, even if you just have to write a sentence, what you're grateful for every day, or maybe even a couple of words, because it's better to do less than you hope for than nothing at all. And is just so very important.
With that, guys.
Wait. Alex has something to say. Okay, go ahead.
No, real quick, Alex. I will pan back to you. But please, David Brooke has a gratitude journal. He also, the gratitude guide thatgratitudeguy.com, and then follow him on YouTube because he has 27,000 videos. I mean, clearly he needs to do some more work
Nice.
because he ain't doing enough. But to follow him and make sure that you subscribe to support his work in doing amazing stuff. With that, Alexander, you can send us into the promised land of coming back next week.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good. I may come back and join you all next week. For now, we've learned that gratitude, you know, even if you're not feeling it, maybe step back and look at that part of yourself that isn't feeling it. Maybe power through that, and eventually maybe you will find that gratitude, you know. And if you don't feel it, that's okay.
Yeah. Ooh. And shout out to Yasmin Lee. It costs absolutely nothing to be kind. And what you get back is in spades. Because to your point, I have 3 incredible kind souls on this show with me right now because I extend kindness. Until next week, guys, that was the episode 31 of the Bright Side Chronicles.
That was
Agyemang and Kerri Lewis with David Brooke and Alexander A.K. I don't know, some Arctos guy who's amazing.